thing and come right back. You guys ready though? Now when I come back, I expect you all to behave. If I we're not going to behave. Hi, I'm Joe Lewis, moderator. Well, we're going to talk about mine first, so we'll just raise right in. Okay. Are we all good with all three? Yeah. All right. You guys ready? All right, who's ready? I only want to hear from the 10-year-olds. I still can't believe you let them watch it. All right. This is a long list. This is not me being disrespectful. It's just that we have this many cool people. I want you to give it up. Not only for the cast of Terrifier, the director of Terrifier, anyone who ever had anything to do with Terrifier is about to come on this stage. And I'm going to read them all out. David Howard Barton. Emily McClain. Casey Hartman. Anywhere. Hold on, don't we have a director out there? Damien, come on in. Damien Leon. Elliot Pullman. Sorry about that. Kaylee Lyman. Lauren Rivera. Sarah Boyd. Where's she at? Everybody. Did I miss anyone? Do we have enough chairs? I think we're one chair left. Okay, no, we got a chair right here because no one wants to look at me. Come on down.
Get over here, kiddo.
Yeah, sit right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to get the heck out of the way in a second. So what I'm looking for is nobody here wants to hear from me right now, correct? Who said I did? Oh, hi, Joe. We have a chubby chaser. It's a joke. Anyway, moving right along. Okay, yes, thank you. So, moving right along. Get your question. Who wants the first question? Oh, she is excited, and then we'll go over here. But hold on.
She's the first to die, too.
She is. I'm telling you. You go first, and then we'll go ahead from there, okay?
That's so appropriate.
So my question is actually more for Damien. Were there any scenes in Terrifier 2 that you felt like after you kind of like threw everything, it's on the screen, you're like, oh, I wish I really would have added this or taken that out?
Yes, it's funny that I'm sitting next to you. Funny you should bring that up. Yeah, it was the alley bedroom kill scene, and we knew that was going to be the scene going into part 2 that we hopefully would rival the hacksaw scene from part 1, because that's all we would hear. How are you going to top that? What are you going to do next? So we started filming it, and we didn't have the effects prepared to my liking, but we had to just jump in and start shooting. And I remember it was 2 days, and we were filming it, and I remember being kind of depressed and looking at the monitor and pulling my producer Phil aside and being like, there's no way this is going to live up to that. I mean, we're going to have to figure something out. We're going to have to come back and get reshoots or something. And then we wound up getting hit with the pandemic and went into lockdown, and I said, this is the perfect opportunity. Now I have all this free time on my hands, and I basically wrote out a list of the worst things imaginable I could do to a human being, like 20 things. And I showed it to my producer. I think I called up Dave, and we went down. And I was like, we got to pick like 5 of these things. And now I have all this time, and I could really take as much time as I need to make these effects as good as they could possibly be. So that's what we did, and then we eventually went back and shot that scene basically over again for about 5 days. And I mean, she is just a rock star. Like, that scene does not exist without Casey. She is the MVP of that movie. And I mean, 5 days, I don't know, 18-hour days. I mean, she had to be covered in blood and prosthetics. I mean, and it was just every stage, every step of the way. It would be, 3 hours to put the scalping, that prosthetic on. Then we go and shoot that for a couple of hours. Then I have to go back and get her into another stage. And that was all shot in a barn in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the winter. I mean, that whole bedroom was a set in an ice-cold barn. So she's covered in blood, practically wearing nothing, and we had space heaters, so she'd have to go off in the corner in between setting up shots and stay in front of the space heater, and then we'd have to shut it off because you can't have that sound going when you're shooting. So it was absolutely brutal, and she didn't complain one time, which is just such an, it's an amazing thing, amazing collaborators to be working with. But
Now with the finished product, was once it was on the screen in the theater, did you yourself look at it and go, oh no, I really wish that I would have done it this way?
no, I think we did
You were
enough
pretty
to her.
good.
I think we did enough. But, I mean, it's hard to separate yourself from, because I'm so involved. I'm doing the makeup and editing it and putting the sound effects. So it's hard to be really sort of, just like watch it like an audience member for myself. But there was a moment where I was editing it and there was no music or anything, and I was listening to her just scream for hours in my apartment, and I literally got lightheaded. And I called up Dave, and I was like, Jesus, man, I'm cutting this scene, and it's like brutal. I really think people are going to freak out when they see
That's
it.
the part where I had to mute it. You remember me telling you earlier that I had to mute some parts that you
Yeah.
could watch it? So I was like, dude.
Lots of crunches and squishes, yeah. But yeah, no, we put a lot of work into it, and we're just so proud. But like I said, I mean, she's the MVP of that scene, so we're very
Nothing to add to that? Okay, who had our next? You were, okay, don't threaten me, please. Please stand up. Yes, when you ask a question, stand up so we can all hear you.
So, cool story, I actually met you back in March at Horror Hound, and to my delight, I got to tell you that I'd never seen the hair card. And so I was like, I'll follow back up with you when I've watched it and I have questions. I do have questions, but not for you. Laura, how hard was it not to laugh at David in the sunglasses scene too?
A lot of people ask me that question. I wasn't there when he was doing it.
Really?
Because a lot of people don't realize when you're on set, especially during close-ups, you're not looking at anything. Because the camera's so close to you. And honestly, these actors are so incredible that they don't have to be there, but a lot of them will try to be there, and Dave might be behind the camera being like, just to give me a reaction, and sometimes just to be a dick, but I love you, Dave. But yeah, no, and honestly, we were on set for so long, and I had to do we were filming in New York, and I had to do a commercial the next day in Philly, so I was just like, how am I going to survive this? That's all I was thinking, and so, yeah.
Well, props to you, because you looked like you were about to laugh at him.
Oh.
In like one moment, I was like, that's something I need to ask her.
Yeah.
I realized, like, when I went to watch it, I was like, I know I'm going to have so many questions for both David and Damien. And I was like, I'm going to ask them, like, who's their therapist, because I'm going to need them.
Therapist?
Well, the sad part is I learned that maybe I do need a therapist, because I was like, that's my entire personality is our life. So.
You and me both. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun though, and I can laugh at it now, which is great. You know, they all did a great job.
All right, yes, sir, right there, and then we'll go around the room.
Hey, y'all. First, I just want to say thanks. Really appreciate everything all of y'all have done. So, really appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This question for Damien. So, in production, of course, like, particularly when we're working a lower budget, you're not always going to get what you want. So sometimes you have to make something work. And I guess I'm curious, if something comes to mind of a situation on the production of, any Terrifier, where you didn't get to use what you wanted or get what you wanted, but it actually worked out better than the thing you wanted initially. You're like, hey, actually, I'm glad it didn't work.
Like a happy accident.
Happy accident. Bob Ross said.
Sure. Yeah. There's a bunch of them. But the one that's coming to mind now is with the ending to Terrifier 2. I don't know if you're familiar, where the nurse discovers that Victoria's given birth to Art the Clown's head.
Yeah.
So originally we shot that, and it was totally different. She runs into the room and she sees Victoria, like, screaming, convulsing on the ground, grabbing the back of her head, and she runs over to check, and she's screaming, it hurts, and she goes, she goes to look, and she rips the back of her scalp open, and Art's growing on the back of her skull like a giant tumor. And that was the idea originally, and it was this big scene where then Chris Jericho comes in and they're wrestling her and everything. It was like really involved, not that kind of wrestling. So we shot that, and I edited it. It was in there, and then one day I come back from a con, and my buddy calls me and he goes, "Dude," he goes, "have you seen this new movie, *Malignant*?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "You're gonna want to check out the ending." He goes, "We're fucked." I was like, "Oh my god," my heart sank. And then I went home and watched it, and it was like to a T, shot for shot during that reveal. And they did it so much better, honestly. But I was just like, "Oh my god, now what?" And one day, I didn't know if I was gonna just scrap it, leave that entire post-credit scene out of the movie, and then deal with it in part 3. But I was going back and forth with my production designer, Olga, and we were kind of just saying, like, where else could he come out of, or where could he come from? And and so Olga's credit. So my production designer's credit, she was the one who came up with that idea in a more vulgar way, but she said, he could give birth to her. And then we kind of like laughed at it. It was more of like a joking, idea. And I was like, no, wait, that's actually amazing. But she won't give birth to him. She'll just give birth to his head. And I was like, that's perfect. That's what we're going to do. So that was, and it came out so much better. And it actually changed so many things about Terrifier 3. So it was such a happy accident that happened. Yeah.
Literal happy accident.
Jericho was there.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The big sports, that's why Jericho was there.
Yes.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir, right there. Yep, with the hair.
Greetings, everybody.
Greetings.
Howdy.
Salutations.
Speaking of endings for Terrifier, do you guys have like a grand scheme for art? Do you think by the end of Terrifier 10, he's going to blow up like his ass?
I do. I had the idea of how I could end this saga, or whatever you want to call it, when I was writing part 2, which is great because I know where I'm going. I know the journey. I just have to, I have to fill in some gaps and work out some puzzle pieces, but I know where to end it. That's not to say I'm going to, because I don't want to just give out spoilers. I like saying now to be determined. We'll see. But I do have a satisfying conclusion if I ever wanted to put this character to bed. I'm going to say that. Yeah.
All the way in the back. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, David, I met you in March at Jericho.
Yes.
Hi. So my question is, what was the inspiration to give art is pretty French,
Yes. Well, I wanted to really explore the supernatural element of what brings all these boogeymen back, right? It's kind of the standard trope of the boogeyman, is they die, they come back, but they never really explain why. They just kind of give them a bit of a free pass, and that's like part of their lore. But I really wanted to have that entity or that evil be a main part of the story. Like, what is that thing that's driving him? How does he suddenly come back from the dead? And I wanted a physical character to embody that. So I chose this creepy little girl character, and she's inspired by this old anthology called Spirits of the Dead. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that. So it's 3 Edgar Allan Poe stories, and one of them is directed by Fellini. And in his story, there is this devil character, and it's a little girl, like this white dress, and she's kind of got red hair. And she's silent, very creepy, like little Art the Clownish. So originally I was kind of going to have her look like that, and she was going to look more like she came out of the 60s in like a yellow dress with like a flower in her hair or something like that. And then as we were getting closer to shooting, that Halloween I was getting tagged in all these pictures of people doing their cosplays of Art the Clown, and a lot of girls started dressing up like Art the Clown. I was like, oh, female Art the Clown. I was like, there's like so many of these popping up now, I have to do my version of this before like it's out of my hands, before there's nothing original I can do with it. So that's the reason why I decided to go in that direction, which was another happy accident, blessing in disguise kind of thing.
And what a job she did.
And what an incredible job.
Which leads me to a quick question, if you don't mind. We were talking about this before you guys come in here. What's the youngest fan you've had? Because we have some young people in this room who have seen it, and as a dad, I have not shown it to my child. I felt like that was the right decision. He's 6. I'm curious. Can you tell me what's been the youngest one? What's the one where you're like, did you really show it to them?
Oh, my 5-year-olds.
Really?
Yeah. Many kids. I had someone today tell me that they showed their 3-year-old. And I said, well, that's how you get a little Damien Leone.
Well, I remember like one of my first conventions I did back in Chicago back in like 2018, and there was this little 4-year-old girl that kept coming by my table over and over again, and she's like, I love Art the Clown. She was so cute. I was like, oh my god, I'm getting diabetes from you. And her mom's like, no, she's actually seen the movie several times, like the whole movie. She's like, yeah, the whole movie. She was like obsessed with me. So every time she's in Chicago, she comes and stuff. She's getting older and older and older as I see her come along. And I'm like, this is amazing. But yeah, I've noticed it's a lot of like younger girls that love Art the Clown. It's like little boys will run away from me, but the little girls are like, ah! You do know what I do, right?
That's another thing too. Some little kids, they're not allowed to see the movie, but they've seen Art. Like they're obsessed with the image of Art the Clown. They just love the way he looks. So there's something just really pleasing to the eye when it comes to like, kids and the way they perceive this character.
Hey, The Exorcist and the Evil Dead did it for me at way too young of an age, but I was a latchkey child. Where we got? Right there, yes.
So this question's more for Lauren and Elliot. Just Sienna and Jonathan both took massive beatings throughout the movie. What were some of the challenges that you guys faced with that?
Oh man, well, so the funniest thing is that like some of the most simple things would be like the most challenging for me. And so like something as simple as just simply falling down. First, I don't know why that took so many takes for us to fall down, but I think we eventually got a good one. But also,
I'm just a sadist.
but also there was the last day for me of being on set, just simply running down the stairs. So everything else like was easy and fun and crazy, but falling down and going down the stairs were my biggest challenges.
But yeah, falling down is hard. People don't realize that. That's why we have stunt performers. They know how to fall, they know how to make it look convincing, and they know how to do it without hurting themselves. I personally really loved the physical stuff. I loved actually getting thrown around and, you know, really having that collaboration with the stunt coordinator, with Dave, with Damien. Those were some of my favorite scenes to shoot, but that's because like I've been doing martial arts for 20 plus years, so
Black belt.
Yeah. Kick all your asses. But I wouldn't. But yeah, I really loved those things. But I think the hardest thing for me was moving in the costume. It was very uncomfortable. This is not a secret anymore. Anybody who comes to my table knows that. It just was not. It was not practically designed, Damien. And I was wearing heels the entire time. So like that's what. But luckily we did have one that was a bit more flexible, but still very uncomfortable, but I really did enjoy getting thrown around by Dave. It was a really good time. I recommend it.
You're welcome.
I actually have to chime in on this one because I felt so bad about one of the things I had to do to both of them, and it was using that flail. Because especially with Lauren, she didn't, like Elliot, he could wear some like protective padding and stuff like that. Because, I mean, we didn't use metal, but we used like rubber, and that still stings.
Yeah,
You're getting whipped by that. And she was like taking, I'm trying my best to hit the areas I'm supposed to, but like, it's a flail, it flails around. It's called a flail. But yeah, I felt so sorry because it's like, we're doing this repeatedly.
And I got him back by accident.
Oh, she got me back.
But, yeah, it hurts.
It hurts like a motherfucker. I felt so bad. It's like it's when she like whips me across the face and it got me right on the tip of my lip. And I was like, woo! And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, no, girl, it's fine. It's like, no, I deserve that. Because I had to do the same thing with Samantha in the first film, and I'm like, I am so sorry now because now I know what it felt like just to get hit once by that thing, and I'm like, oh Jesus, I did this to these poor people over and over again. I'm so sorry.
I do have to mention that slap from my mom.
She got me in the back of the head too.
That was a real slap.
Oh, wow.
You took it like a champ.
You don't call your mom the B word.
Sorry.
I learned that lesson as a kid myself. All of a sudden, I was flying across the room. So just don't call your mom the B word.
All right, who's next? Yes, over there against the wall.
This one's for Damien. You think it'll be a Terrifier video game?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I do. There's already talks. There's a potentially Dead by Daylight that might happen. We'd love Mortal Kombat. That would be amazing. For sure, though. Eventually, yeah, he'll definitely be in a video game. That's exciting. We're looking forward to that.
Arthur Clown would have the best fatalities.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Finish him.
What's up?
We all know about the Vegas death scene, other than part 1 and the other death scene, but for the 2 others that didn't quite make it to the end, did you? I know things are often shot out of order. Did you all know about that when you all died, and did you all, when you all saw your death scene, what was going to happen? Did you feel like, crap? Is that really how I'm going out? I mean, what did they just shock you, especially if you already knew what happened over here?
I was so sure I had the best death scene. I was so sure, and then I saw the movie and I was like, damn it. Like, how do you beat eating someone's heart out of their chest? No, I thought it was pretty epic. I like my death scene a lot. I'm a big fan. of it. I don't know, what do you think?
Your death scene was beautiful.
Oh, you're talking about me still? Keep going. It's beautiful.
Loved it. I had no idea how I really ended up.
Did it blow your mind?
Let's just say I was, last day of filming, who really sent me out the door in style. And then I learned about mashed potatoes being shoved down my face. When I saw the film, after I saw Casey being mutilated by Dave. And I screamed out of the scream. You guys know.
You
It was
screamed your
terrible.
scream.
It was horrible. So I don't know, to answer your question, I loved it. I would do it again, and I hope it would be worse the next time.
She actually screamed, "What's wrong with you?" Damien heard it. It was hilarious.
In the theater.
True story.
All right, I've got you over here in the hat, and then I'll come right back to you, okay? Yes.
Thank you for coming to Kentucky. I know it was in the middle of nowhere.
Thank you for having us.
But this is for David. So I know Terrifier 2 was a lot more hype than Terrifier 1. So was there more pressure on you to kind of perfect art to become this horror icon versus the first one?
That's a good question. Boy, I wasn't even thinking of that kind of aspect of it all. The pressure on me was more just to keep doing what we had done that was successful in the first film that everybody liked about the character, but still grow with the character in some ways. It's my whole thing is like I want to I looked at art as being a little bit more cocky this time around because he had come back from the dead and stuff like that. So I wanted to add a little bit more of that kind of aspect to the character. But I'm like that whole idea of like the icon status that's something I still can't process. that's still, I feel like I'm still a baby right now compared to the rest of the greats that are here this weekend. So that I just wanted to make people happy, and I was just like, okay, well, hopefully it works.
Absolutely. All right.
It worked.
It worked.
Hey.
So I had a question about the marketing in general for this movie because it became such a huge phenomenon. Did you guys have some kind of amazing marketing? Was it purely word of mouth? Was it a mixture of both?
Zero marketing.
Awesome.
I wouldn't say zero. We did. I mean, because that's unfair. Like to Cinedigm, now Cineverse, who put it out. They did the best they can. But Hollywood movies have $20 million marketing campaigns. I mean, it's like half the budget of their movie they use for marketing. We didn't have any of that. So we had to be really strategic with what we did. But the reason it took off was organically people started fainting or like, getting sick, leaving the theater in the middle of her kill scene. And that's just stuff you can't pay for. I mean, that is just real organic hype. When that just snowballed. So that was so amazing. I mean, that first Sunday, I think it was a Sunday that weekend, I saw it in Manhattan with my buddy George, who was the DP. And we leave the screening and we're driving back home and I'm flipping through Instagram I was on Twitter. And I see someone tweeting a picture of a guy like literally passed out in the lobby of a movie theater, and they put like an emoji over his face to like block out his identity. And there's two paramedics walking over to him, and he's got the Terrifier poster like right above his shoulder. and the caption was like, "Yeah, my friend just had paramedics called on him for Terrifier 2. I highly recommend it." Yeah, and that was like the greatest thing ever.
Thanks,
So it all started there.
All right. Yes. With a hand up. Yeah. Yeah. Sir.
Did Art really make those mashed potatoes?
I made them. I made them before because I was hungry and it was freezing in upstate New York, and I was looking through all the food and I wanted mashed potatoes, so I made them and I ate them and they were delicious. And Damien walked in, he was like, "Where's the props? Where are the props? We're about to film this scene, they don't have the mashed potatoes." And I ate them, so then they had to go out in the freezing cold, like to Walmart or something, and get more mashed potatoes. I ate them.
I watched her eat them and I didn't say anything. I'm like, "Oh, she ate my kids. It's great."
Welcome to Terrifier.
That's why we work so well together.
All right. Where was my next? Oh, Midsummer.
Yeah.
Dear-
I love them.
This question's for Sarah. You're one of my favorite stressed out moms in horror. Definitely earns it, but I just wanted to know, like, how did you amp yourself up before those scenes where you had to scream at your on-screen children?
He would just constantly say, "You're being too nice, you're being too nice," and then we kept bringing more, and I just thought that like Barb was going to explode at a certain point. He would be like, "It's not enough! Keep going!" And then Barb came, and then she stayed and became her own problem. And I thought she was going to be nice. Really did. No idea.
You were just dealing with a lot.
I thought
Yeah, and
I love Barb.
she was so fun. And your costume was fantastic.
So great. I love the bear too.
Oh,
that's great. All right. Yes, sir.
So, the promotion of Sonics, they made their own popcorn bucket. So, for Terrifier 3, I think there'll be an art popcorn bucket. Yes.
That would be fantastic. I mean, I'm sure they're definitely gonna feed off of that puking hype. There's no doubt next time around. But I can tell you now, me personally, I really want to make people throw up watching Terrifier. So that wasn't my intention writing part 2, but part 3, I'm really writing some of the most repulsive things I've ever done. So.
If you make it, it's gotta be Ali's mom's head.
There you go.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go, popcorn.
Buy that.
All right.
That's not $1.
Oh my god. That's
Well,
genius.
you and then you already have one, so
You
I'll
should
come back to you.
copyright that idea because that's genius.
Y'all can have
All right. Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
What's up, man?
Is 3 going to be more epic than 2?
Absolutely. Yeah, everything's got to be bigger, better, bloodier. I've said this. I mean, obviously, I can't talk about spoilers, but I really want to try and recapture. And people, like, this has gotten out there and people have taken this the wrong way. I want to recapture more of the tone and the atmosphere of Terrifier 1. I've said I want it to be creepier and darker. I want to make art a lot scarier again, as if you've never seen him before. Because now what's happening is you're getting very comfortable with this character and people just love him. He's getting, you know what I mean? It's like his charisma and this, but I want to try and go back and make people really afraid of him. But that doesn't mean that he's going to lose what makes people love him, like his sense of humor. He's still going to be quirky and do all those great Art the Clown things. But I think there's a way to recapture that tone of the original that I really miss, that grittier style.
Okay. You?
I was just wondering, how do I plot to pick them the third season?
It's all a casting call out there. So
I appreciate it.
thanks, man. Yeah.
Go ahead.
He already covered mine in the last one. I wanted to know if he was going to take the comedy away.
No, never. It's so crucial to the character. And it allows us to be more sadistic, believe it or not. Because when you wink at the audience after you do these things, it reminds you that at the end of the day, it's just a movie. It's a fictional world, and we should be having fun and not leave feeling miserable. So that's the balance I'm always trying to strike. So the levity is super important to these movies. So we're never going to lose that. But I would rather lean more into the horror, right? Because a big drawback to a lot of these movies or a pitfall is when it starts becoming too funny and too much relying on becoming like self-parody. Like that's dangerous. So yeah.
That's how it's I tried to watch it.
Yeah. Next one's PG. They'll tell you.
Plenty of gore.
I've given them all sunglasses. You have watched it.
Those sunglasses, they're in the movie for 2 seconds. Look at that. Look at that. Amazing. Who would have thought? I just thought he looked like an alien or an insect and he looked kind of cool. I was like, I like this.
Yeah, they're kind of iconic.
Yes, sir, right here.
This question's for all of you. If you could have your fantasy Freddy versus Jason matchup with Art, who do you think would go toe-to-toe against them?
Do you want to kick it off?
I don't know. I don't know. I've never seen that. I haven't seen that.
She's only seen one horror movie and she's in it.
What's the second?
Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2.
Art versus art.
Yeah, Art versus Art.
Art versus art. Oh boy. I mean, I know a lot of people have seen these other characters, so I'll name someone totally random and stuff like that. But I think it would just be fun to do. It would be Nicolas Cage. Let me start again. Nicolas Cage's character from Willy's Wonderland. Two silent characters just going at each other like that. That would be insane.
I don't know. I like the idea of Nicolas Cage. I like that, and I think we should do it. I'm gonna steal that.
I think he would pair up with Freddy really well, just because they both have that sense of humor. I feel like he kind of, not that I'm ever comparing him to Freddy, but I feel like he's kind of has a silent Freddy thing going on, where he has so much personality coming through, even though he doesn't speak, and like we were just talking about with the levity. So I think the two of them teaming up together would be fantastic. I would love to see that.
Honestly, I've been thinking like it would have to be something supernatural that would be able to go against Art the Clown, because Art the Clown is already, supernatural. So maybe Pinhead, I think. I think that would be a fun matchup to see, either him or Leatherface. Even though Leatherface isn't really supernatural, but I think that'd be a fun, grotesque matchup.
I'll say Jason.
Just whatever comes to mind. Yeah, I mean, I would want to say Freddy or Chucky, I really would, but the more I think about it, I would love to see him with a stoic slasher like Michael, and to see him play off of that would be fucking hilarious.
He's also kind of supernatural.
And he's tall. They really all are. They're all surviving. I don't know how, but we love them for it, obviously. But yeah, I would love to see him with a stoic character, because I think it would. I could just see Art playing off of that and it being very funny. But any of them, I think he could do well. Awesome.
But on the Nick Cage thing, do you think Art the Clown could steal the Independence?
Could Art steal the Declaration of Independence? Yeah.
I don't know.
He'd leave like one of those Red Lobster children's mats.
Art was here. It'd be pretty obvious who did it.
With blood all over it, just for fun. It's just signs his own little John Hancock on there,
Yeah. Barbie.
I'm
She'll teach him what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
Let's get you a new outfit.
Yesify our clown.
Let's get in your little tiny little cart.
All right, we're starting to wind down a little bit. Yes, right here, you sir. You're the, yeah, absolutely.
Question for you, David. So at the ending credit scene, what made you cast Chris Jericho of all the actors? And two, will he be in part 3? And will he be killed?
So I can't say whether or not he's going to be in part 3. So spoiler territory, right? But Chris is a huge horror fan, like die-hard, deep-track horror fan. And one of his bandmates showed him the hacksaw scene, I believe, one day. They were on their tour bus. He's like, dude, you got to check this out. He showed him the hacksaw scene. He's like, oh, it's like a killer clown movie. He's like, no, trust me, check out the scene. And like, it blew him away, and then he watched the whole movie, and he fell in love with Art the Clown. And then he met Dave at a horror convention, and he had you on his podcast, and the two of you hit it off.
Yep.
And then I had done a con that he was at, and we had a drink, and we were just talking about horror movies that we grew up loving. We really hit it off. And then he was like, dude, if you ever have a part for me, if there's any way I could ever be involved in this, he's like, I would love to. I love these movies. I was like, oh, Chris Jericho. I just went and I wrote that part for him. And he came down for 2 days and we shot that. It was so much fun. It was so cool. He's such a cool guy. So that's how it happened, yeah.
Cool. All right, yes.
First of all, hi. Thank you all for being here.
Hello.
So, meet you guys this weekend. So I know from the first movie to the second movie, it was kind of like a year later, like Biocon Massacre is kind of coming back. So from the second movie on throughout however long this saga will be, are you kind of planning on just kind of sticking with Sienna and her little brother from here on out, or are we kind of moving from different characters to different characters?
What can you tell us?
No,
Because none of them are going to tell anybody. It'll stay right here in this room.
No, I can tell you that. We're definitely continuing to follow Sienna and Jonathan. I mean, there's so much you have to learn about what's going on in part 2, right? There's so much mystique around both of these characters, around Sienna and Art, and there's so many puzzle pieces, right, that you need to put together, you need to uncover. So, and that's all by design, because like I said, when I wrote 2, I knew how I was going to end this. And I didn't want to just, and I love these characters, and I want to make a few movies, or at least a couple of movies with them. So I didn't want to explain and give you everything in part 2. So I want you to learn as we're going. But we're definitely following Sienna for sure.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Spoiler alert. Yes, ma'am.
How did Art the Clown come to be?
Well, a mommy, dad, and a mommy clown and a daddy clown. And then they make balloon animals with comics. And then Art comes out.
It's actually better than the real. I wish I had this like great. I had a nightmare, and one night he just came to me. It's like nothing that cool. I made my first what I call official sort of short film when I didn't have money to go to film school. I was out of high school. I was like, I want to do this for a living. I want to make movies, but I need something. I need like a calling card. I need a movie, a short that I can show people like, yeah, this is what I can do with special effects or atmosphere, characters, right? So I just wanted to throw as many cool horror archetypes that I loved into this short film. Just like a cool 10-minute badass short film of just creatures, effects, and I loved killer clowns. I wanted to do something. I just had this idea for a long time of pretty much the personality, what you know of Art, but like terrorizing a woman, like very Twilight Zone-y, of just this woman alone on a bus by her in the middle of the night, comes to a stop, it's not Halloween or anything, and all of a sudden out of nowhere a clown gets on and just sits across from her, just staring at her and just freaking her out, honking a horn. I just had this idea. I thought it would be really a creepy situation, because it's also something that could really happen. I love that. That's why I love the pizzeria scene in Terrifier, because it's something you could really relate to, that could actually happen. So it started there, and I'm like, I like this. I'm going to kick off the short film with that. And now it's like, what does this character look like? And I started sketching and designing him. And I said, if I'm going to take a crack at a killer clown, he can't look anything like Tim Curry's Pennywise, because that's the king, right? So I was like, that's where he became very simplistic in his design. I didn't want him to have any color. I didn't want him to have hair or like a bulbous red nose. I didn't want him to speak. I wanted him to be silent, because I thought the silent killers were creepier to me, like Michael Myers and Jason. And you don't stare; they won't speak to you. You just cut off that communication. Something more animal about it. So it was just all those things coming together. And when I made that short, he's only in the first 3 minutes, but everybody who saw it was like, dude, what is up with that clown at the beginning? Like, he looks so cool, he's so creepy. Like, that's it. It's like, you gotta make more shit with that character. So that's what I did. And then I decided to turn him into a slasher. And when I made Terrifier, the short film, and I turned him into a slasher, that's when I really fell in love with the character. And I thought that there was something very special there, and I had to keep following it. And I knew I had to get him into a feature. So that's how it's going. Sorry, it's a long-winded story, but.
All right, we have time for 2 questions. You and then you. All right, 3 maybe. We'll see. I hate to say no to Beetlejuice. Yes.
Shouldn't Felicity sit in there?
I agree.
I agree with you. I love her.
What's going on?
He looked at me like I was anybody of importance. She will be sitting here Sunday for the Sleepaway Camp panel.
Okay. Well, just for part 3 again, you got any legends in mind of your part half?
Yeah, I do, but I can't say. For sure, yeah. There's definitely going to be some surprises in this one, yeah.
All right. You and then Beetlejuice, and then I have to cut it. Sorry. Yes.
So after Terrifier 10 and Art blows up with the Death Star and all that,
Yes.
have you given much thought into what kind of horror movie you want to make next, different from Terrifier?
Yeah, I actually, I have one now in development with Sam Raimi's production company, Ghost House Pictures, and it's another original idea of mine. I can't really say anything about it.
You
but
can
it
tell
is-
us.
Yeah. You'll cut this out, right? Everybody?
They don't even know who Sam Raimi is.
So that's super exciting. So yeah, I hope that happens. There's a couple of really cool projects that I have in the works. One of them isn't horror, but it's like an exploitation thriller, which is really exciting. I wish I could tell. It's actually a remake of something. So yeah, lots of cool, exciting things on the horizon. But I don't know if they're actually going to happen. But Terrifiers they're definitely happening. So.
All right, Beetlejuice. It's up to you. Last but not least. That joke is too easy. Stand up.
Question is for David. How do you prepare to go out and do your scenes and get in that mindset of art file?
Oh, that comes from all the bullying I went through in middle school. And I just want to get a revenge on everybody. No. But now, all seriousness, gosh, I just kind of based art on just a huge amalgamation of different types of characters in movies I grew up watching. I mean, first of all, of course, there's all the great horror legends that came before him. And it was like, you had, I see him as being like a love letter to slashers, so there's a little bit of every slasher icon that came before him in his personality. And so I put all that in there. Then I have a huge appreciation for, just great silent comedies and physical comedians, and I was like, oh god. So I grew up watching like Chaplin, Buster Keaton, all that good stuff. Like Mr. Bean, big influence on me. I was Stephen Carl's understudy for 5 years on the national tour of How Grinch Stole Christmas. Everybody knows who he was. He was Robbie Rod from Lazy Town. So I took a lot of what I learned from him and put it into art. So you can actually look at some of the stuff I'm doing as art and see the videos of him as Robbie Rod, and I'm like, oh yeah, I see. So yeah, it was just a big, huge amalgamation of all that stuff, but also what I did just to understand the character. It's, I don't go full method, which I think everybody here is very glad I don't. I don't do the whole Jared Leto stuff, so I can turn them on and turn them off just like that. So it's like on 1 second I'm just goofing around and doing silly voices. Next I have the angry eyes on and I'm slaughtering people. Then they say cut, and I'm like, oh my god, are you okay?
I actually wish you didn't talk for 3 months.
I know. I'm sure of that. I think that's why you always say rolling, and we're actually not rolling. But like what really helped me understand the character was this one line that's in the first film that the homeless woman says. She said he does this because he finds it's funny. It's fun to him. And I'm like, that's it. He's not doing this out of some kind of weird revenge or anything like that. He's doing this because this is fun. This amuses him. He's the anti-clown. Because clowns are supposed to be here to bring joy and amusement to other people. He's here to bring pain and misery to other people for his own selfish amusement, and he loves it. And that's why this other thing is glommed onto him. And just like, I like you. Let's make you more powerful now. So it's like, that's why I wanted to make him more arrogant in the next one when he came back from the dead. It's like, oh wow, now I can really have some fun.
And with that, Lexington, let's give it up for our Terrifier. Thank you, everybody. They'll be your